Hi, this is Miss Evans, and I am going to demonstrate today how to create cut contours in Adobe Illustrator. Special thanks to Carolyn Kagia for allowing me to use her files for this demo. This document contains 5 artboards, one with the Animali horizontal logo, the vertical square logo, the combo logo, the standing and the sitting poses of the characters, and in this case it is a puffin. This is the horizontal Animali Kidswear logo in color, and I have pulled a copy here and added the contour line so that you could see what we are striving for. This is a 1-point magenta line, which we'll discuss later, but you can see that it has a fairly consistent 1/8 of an inch buffer zone around this logo, and there are no bumps or sharp areas in the shape. We may do something a little bit different here in this version, but we'll see. So how do we achieve this? This is not just a random shape, and it's not something that I used the blob brush to create. I'm going to actually use the logo itself to create this offset shape. Select all and then fill everything with black and see what you have. It looks like this logo in particular was very easy to get that black fill. There's no strokes or anything, so we're fine. And I want to go to my Pathfinder and unite everything. So we're going to create the consistent buffer around the live artwork of 1/8 of an inch, or that is 0.125. And we're going to select the black shape and go to Object, Path, Offset Path. And we're going to type in 0.125, and I am going to experiment with the miter limit, and I may even take it to 0. And notice what happened when I reduced that number. If I put it back at, say, 5, look at all the points, and these are things that we would have to clean up because they are unwanted. So we're going to change our miter limit to 0 and click OK. Now this is going to give us a nice bubbly black shape, and you can tell that the logo is still in there and everything is filled with black. So with all of that selected, I am going to unite it again, and I will show you that this is now one shape, one closed shape, so that's what we want. It's got some issues. We want to now fill this shape with none. And we are going to go to our swatches panel, and I've already done this, but I am going to apply a stroke of magenta. Now you can see that this is now a spot color, and yours is not going to be a spot color until you create it. So here I have named it Cut Contour. I have made that process color a spot color. I haven't changed anything about the values. I just want that as a spot color in my swatches panel, and I'm going to apply it to this cut contour. So when I hand it off to a vendor or printer, they know what to create the die from. So you can see this shape is far off from this more smooth shape. And these little jags and bumps and tiny little details are not necessary for this. What we're going to do next is I'm going to get the logo, and I am going to put it back in the center of this shape so that we can see the relationship of the live area, the logo, with the buffer area, because we do want to preserve as much as possible 1/8 of an inch consistent buffer all the way around that will remain white. So the first thing we're going to do is select the contour shape that we have, and we're going to simplify it, and we're going to let Illustrator work on that for us. So under Object, Path, Simplify, you can see that you have some options here. Let's see, we can do more options, and you can see the pop-up box here. Now we can simplify the curve, and you can see that this is going to simplify things a little bit. There are a lot of points here that are sharp or corner points, and we want to convert them to Bezier curves or smooth. So this is what's going to make the most difference. And you can see as I'm smoothing, I still have a few points on here, but this is where I started. And you can see the original point is, there are a lot of points there in that line. I'm going to go with this and I'm going to make adjustments on my own. So I've simplified, and I could do a number of things. I could get my direct selection tool and I could pull handles. I could remove points manually, or I could use the pencil tool, which is what I'm going to prefer to use today. So I'm going to use my pencil tool. I need to select the line first, get my pencil tool, and this area right here is a little bumpy and I want to smooth that out. So I am just going to draw on top of the line. This looks like a bump, so I'm going to smooth that out. This is okay. Smooth that out. Easy to work with this. It's a little sharp. And if you don't like what you've drawn, draw over it again. We just don't want any bumps or sharp points in the shape. So you can see it's similar to that. I think I worked on this one a little bit more, but this looks like a little bump right there. I'm going to smooth that out a little bit more. And you may decide to use different tools for this, but the pencil works really well. It's intuitive to me, and I like using that. Now that we have this cut contour shape, I am going to go to my layers panel, and I've already made a cut contours layer, which you can see this is on, and I would remove that text, but because this is selected, you can see the little box here indicates that the art is selected, and I'm just going to drag it up to the cut contours layer so that I can turn the visibility on and off. Once you have your cut contour made, I would like you to make a screen capture for documentation. So go to View Outline Mode, and you're going to do Command or Control 0 to get the artboard to be shown, and then I'm going to make a screen capture of that artboard. Boom. And that will show that this contour is one shape, it is closed, and everything inside it is well built. I'm not grading you on the build of your logo, but it's always nice to see that you don't have extraneous pieces out there and that everything is included. Okay, so that's one. And we'll save this. So then we will go on to the next logo. Now this logo has a problem, and the reason I say it has a problem is because when we are working on these cut contours, they are intended to be custom. In Lesson 10, the lecture materials will show you the difference between custom and standard cuts. And an oval is a standard cut. So I'm going to eliminate this from Carolyn's logo. And we're just going to work with the logo as it is without that standard shape around it. It doesn't need it. So I feel fine removing it. We're going to do the same thing here as we did in number 1. And since I've kind of showed you that one, we've gone through this, I'm not going to duplicate this one. However, I wanted you to be aware that an oval, a square, a rectangle, a star, any shape like that that may encapsulate your logo, you're not going to want to use it. You want to strip that down. I don't remember seeing very many of those, so I think you're okay. Here we are at the combo logo, and I am going to work with this one. And I know there are going to be a few little issues that we're going to need to resolve. First thing we're going to do, same thing as we did with number 1. And I can see right now, what are these little things? I don't know. But I'm going to make a copy of this logo, and I'm going to put it up here on the pasteboard. So I have it, I'll group it together. I'll go back down here. And the first thing we want to do is fill everything with black and see what we get. So I see that there are some strokes here, and I think I'll be okay just to make them black. We know the logo is clean. There's some interesting things happening in here and some little extra dots. I'm going to remove these with my direct selection tool. And I see some things here that are not black, but maybe they are strokes. So I'm going to outline the strokes, and then I'm going to remove the stroke altogether. But you can see that there's a little bit of difference colors in here. I'm going to select this piece and work on it with the Pathfinder because I'm anticipating this. These little things, I'm going to show you in outline view what's remaining. So I can ungroup some things, this just to see if anything is the result of an ungrouping. I could also then use my blob brush with black and just go over this. Because the rest is filled with black, I can go over this, and then it'd probably be better if I was previewing, but all of this can then be united. And I still have this one piece, and I'm going to show you that. Not sure what makes this different than the others, but I'm direct selecting it and I'm going to delete it. Another thing that I notice here is there's something small hanging out here. So the best way I know to remove this is I'm going to use the pencil tool and just get rid of it. Okay. Now we're going to go back to preview. And I'm going to unite everything. And we are going to also go to Object, Path, Offset Path, 0.125. The miter is 0. And we're going to see what this gives us. Interesting. I'm going to use the Pathfinder. We have a little piece here that I want to get rid of that. And here. Now I want to go get my logo and bring it back in here. I'm going to remove these small pieces from the logo because we know they are not needed. Okay, we have our logo, we have our cut contour shape, and I want to fill this with none. And again, the stroke should be the cut contour spot color in 1 point. And now I can see there are a lot of issues here that need to be resolved, and I'm going to start with my pencil tool and smooth out some of these jagged edges. Always preserve that 1/8 of an inch around. So this would be considered a deep cut, something that if you were playing with the sticker or taking it off, the only thing holding these two elements together is this very narrow area. And that could make it easy for the sticker to tear. So we're thinking about the engineering of this, and that's going to allow a lot more stability, and it'll be less likely to tear. And here on the left side, where it tried to mimic some of these stripes and the letters, that's great, but we don't need that, and it's going to just create bumps. Again, another deep cut. I'm eliminating that. Same thing on the other side. This is a nice detail, but I think if we leave so many bubbly areas, it's not going to go with the rest of the shape. So let's see what we have. We could probably smooth this out a little bit more, and here too. You can see how this is going along. You would probably want to spend a little more time on it, evaluating the corner points and making sure that you have smooth areas all the way around. The last thing I'm going to do is have my contour selected, go to layers, and I am going to push it up into the cut contours layer so that I can adjust the visibility of it. And again, I'm going to save. We are now here on the standing pose of the cute little puffin, and I am going to make a copy, pull it over to the side. Again, I am going to select everything, fill it with black. With the Pathfinder, I'm going to unite everything and see what we have. I see that there's also strokes in here, and all I really have to do is make the strokes black, and that should settle everything here. I still have some of these little pieces inside, and I will look at my outline view to be able to use the direct selection tool and delete some of these things. And I did not have the little pieces in this illustration that I had in just the face above. All right, so we have a nice clean piece here. I have everything selected. I'm going to unite it. And now we will go to the object menu, path, and offset path. And I'm going to make the stroke magenta. Now looking at this stroke, it is not even. So what's happening? Let's look into the stroke panel, and you can see that that profile has been changed from uniform to something else. So we want to change it back to uniform for the cut contour. And now you can see everything is pretty normal. We do have a few little things that we're going to need to fix. But let's go ahead and get our standing pose in there so that we can get a sense of the area around this character. I am going to go ahead and put this contour on the cut contour layer. And with it selected, I'm going to start using my pencil tool and just do a little bit of smoothing here on the wing. That's going to give a little bit more motion here. I may be able to eliminate, yes. I resolved that issue pretty easily. I'm going to eliminate this deep cut. For stability, I am probably also going to take this out, but first let me keep on working with my pencil tool to smooth out some of these things. Okay, back up here. I don't know, this could be smoothed out a little bit more. All right, I will get my direct selection tool and eliminate this cutout because it's a sticker. You don't necessarily need that. If it were a paper doll or some sort of die cut hang tag, you may want to keep cutouts, but these are going to be relatively small on the page, and so this one was relatively easy. Happiness. So this you could mess around with this. This is a little distracting, this shape. It should be very smooth, just so it doesn't distract from what's happening in the sticker. We don't want the shape itself to eliminate our focal point. And there's something going down here in the foot. I hope I can just fix it with the pencil tool. No. Let's zoom in and see what this is. It may be something that's okay. It was just an extra line. I can see that the contour is touching the edge of the artboard, so I'm going to select all of this and just nudge it up a couple of clicks so that it's no longer touching the edge. And that one is done, and I'm going to save. And you can see that we would do the same thing with this seated pose. So I've showed you 3 different aspects of creating cut contours. You would want to go back and with your outline mode on, you'd want to go in here and do your screen capture as documentation, and I've given you names for those, and you would do that for each one. I want to be able to see each artboard clearly, so even though we can see them at a view like this, it's a little harder for me to tell if your shapes are closed with this view, and this is a backup so that if some reason I can't download or access all the elements in your Illustrator native file, this will help me see some additional information.